Hey, welcome back to another episode of Donald Kent Comic Stream. I do a lot more than comics, but that is what's on this playlist. And here's a look at some of the penciled pages coming up. We got an army of rats attacking an army of fembots. And then some other crazy things going on. So I didn't write this story, but I do draw it. I do indeed. So there's going to be a lot of crazy things coming down the line. The whole story is just, it gets more and more like off the chart, off the rails, if you will, which I think is what makes it fun and exciting. It's just like how it plays with memes, pop culture. These fembots are called the Karen units. So off the the term Karen, like, let me speak to your manager, Karen. That one, they have a flying minivan, So the author's really quite funny. He's got a pretty zany approach to all of this stuff. It's just going to make for a wild ride and a fun read. So I think readers are just in for a blast. Unfortunately, I wish I could draw faster. I could ink faster, produce more art faster, but I have this pesky thing called a full-time job. Did you ever hear? You got one of those? You got one of those full-time jobby things? Um, so I stream at night, and my dream, honestly, is to just be able to do this full time. So if you happen to have $1 million that you're not using, just kind of laying around, like maybe you're vacuum cleaning and you notice that it fell down in between the couch and the mattress or something. It's covered in dust and cat hair. And you'd be like, hey, Donald Kent could use this. That might help him to quit his full-time job so he can do comics all the time now. That way he can contribute to the world around him with his inborn talents and the years and years of hard work that he put into learning these skills. So, hit me up if you're feeling generous there. I really don't want to turn this into the erasing show. How about I'll do that another time? And we shall get into some inking. I found in sort of an old box of inking supplies, and I was like, woohoo, bonus. Yes, I actually say woohoo. No, I don't. I only do it when I'm trying to make people laugh. But so, even though I have like old, like those Christmas gifts, those gift cards for, I've got them for art supplies, and we'll eventually be doing that. Hey, here comes trouble. I got a friend coming in hot. Coming in hot. Luke Mason. Ladies and
Hey, bro,
gentlemen.
can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Sweet, bro.
I don't know.
Excellent.
I'm so glad you're joining me, dude. My dude.
Yeah.
Do you want to put the camera on you or something to see?
Well,
I guess
dude,
it's up to you.
I
It's up
is
to you.
there it doesn't give me an option to keep myself keep my face off of here, and I'm kind of thinking because of some of the
Oh,
stuff I'm writing, I might want to do that.
you want to? Yeah, you guys kind of do that. Okay. Well, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's more just about the conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
How's your?
mean,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say if I had like a Chadley pair of hands doing some comic book stuff, that
Chadley.
would be awesome.
I'm changing my name to Lord Chadley. How about that?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
move over, Lord Wolfshield. It's Lord Chadley. So there we go.
Heck yeah, man.
That that could be like a character in one of your books.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm really, really pleased that you're doing this project. So you are on fire. Like you just got all kinds of talent. Just and it's beyond that. You know what the hell's going on. And like that matters. That counts so much because there's
Thanks, man.
you think about like the amount of just vapid garbage that's out there and like all the just like you just go to your local bookstore and you just see just junk, and like we need our people making content, you know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude. I get so tired of that. It just seems like all that's
Hmm.
really offered to us
Hmm.
is
Go
content that supports the
the narrative.
mainstream
Yeah,
delusion.
yeah.
Yeah,
I believe they call that goy slop. Is that correct?
absolutely. Yeah, it's like art. I wouldn't even call it artistic. I would just call it goy slop content.
Goy slop. Yeah, it's
Take their own word.
right, right. Um, so anyway, I'm really pleased that you're doing that. That's quite cool. Have you thought about how you're going to publish it? Like
Still
to
thinking
like,
about that.
yeah.
Uh, I think some of the things in there are going to limit me to self-publishing,
Okay.
uh, just because of like, some of the racial humor and whatnot. Hey, I
Sure.
have to let you know, bro. Um,
Yeah.
if a bunch of girl basketball players show up, I got a jet
Oh,
because I'm on
oh,
a bus
okay.
trip.
Oh, I got you, dude. No, that's completely fine. Yeah, you do what it is that you do, so you're all set. Just to have you on here for even a little bit is a treat. So I appreciate that.
Well, it's a treat to get a chance to chat with you and check out your artwork, bro.
Cool beans. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
Speaking of,
found. Yeah, we're gonna be doing another stream on Chimeros, but I haven't really found somebody yet. I think I reached out to Jack McCracken. I forget what was going on with him, but I'm just gonna keep looking for someone who would be appropriate for something of that nature. I think we want to get somebody on there who's in the know on like what's going on and like can
yeah,
have some kind of intelligent commentary. So I think that'd be cool.
absolutely.
Indeed.
Yeah, man. Uh, my buddy, he said he is going to have some content real soon.
Oh,
But if
is
you
he?
ever wanted to have a show and talk about like the general direction of like where the music industry is or where rock is, like he's extremely knowledgeable about like 80s hair metal.
Okay. Um, yeah, that's. I mean, I think what we're gonna work on doing is getting a show with you, me, and bass guitarist at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
It's just I understand where he's at. He's like in the middle of a project, and you really want to do this like when it's ready to launch. You know what I mean? Like not quite yet. Like he's not sort of there yet. So but
Yeah.
I think we'll hook it up. I think that that's just a no brainer. It should be a fun show. You know what I mean?
Man, some of the stuff he's been showing me is really good.
Well, the dude
It's
is
like
ridiculous.
next level.
Really wow. Yeah, he
Yeah.
sent me a clip of it was just sort of what you call a scratch track, which is essentially like the drums and guitars, just like the basis of the song. And
Yeah.
damn fun, good stuff, man. You can, and then it's going to have some of our themes in it as well. So, you know, I'm very
Yeah.
psyched about it. I think it'll be very popular and very exciting.
I'm really glad he's doing his kind of own unique take on music. It,
Hmm.
seeing him, like how passionate he is about the 80s,
Yeah.
80s hard rock,
Yep.
it really, he calls it Chad metal. I love that. But
Chad what? I didn't
it's like
catch that.
Chad metal.
Oh, Chad metal. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he says it's because all the dudes back then were Chads. And I can't really argue with him. That was a really
Yeah.
good time in our
Yeah.
history
Yeah.
because it was actually in style for white men to be
Yeah.
alpha
Yeah.
and to be like, skilled musicians and good looking and getting
Hmm.
chicks, like
Dude, totally.
we were kings, man, back in the in the 80s,
Well, I mean, again, it's a lot of it has to do with representation. Like,
Yeah.
if you know you're to come out today with something with that kind of style or message, the industry wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. They don't. They want weak white men. They want apologetic, humiliated white men. They don't want powerful Chad, sex gods, like, or whatever. You know.
Yeah, like David Coverdale.
So you get the general. Yeah, I mean, he's the first time I heard Whitesnake, for example, I was happened to be with the drummer of my band at the time, and
Yeah.
we thought it was a new Led Zeppelin song. We're like, what
Oh
the
yeah,
hell?
dude.
What the hell is this? I can remember the way the song goes. I don't quite remember like the lyrics or whatever, but it was straight out of Led Zeppelin's playbook, and it was badass as hell.
Was it
David,
Still of the Night?
I would have to hear it. It's got a kind of a very raw, like the drums and the bass and the guitar are all playing the same riff, and it's a very riff driven kind of rock.
Oh, nice. Maybe it was earlier than that.
Can't say, but um, anyway, we just like our jaws dropped, and we're like, holy shit, what is this? And then we were like, we want to be like this. Yeah,
Oh, that's rad, dude.
yeah, totally. But I'm a huge Zeppelin head. Like, I love Zeppelin.
Oh,
Big,
dude,
big time.
Zeppelin is
Yeah.
great, man.
Yeah.
I still am shocked. I never actually got into them, and then I kind of was exposed to them a little bit recently, and I'm like, dude,
Mhm.
like this music has a lot of what
Oh boy.
like kind of
Yeah.
pioneered the rock and roll sound, the modern
Oh, completely.
hard
Completely.
rock sound. It came from those guys.
Oh, madly, dude. Like, the thing about them that I love is how they have this range in which they have this really, really powerful kind of, I guess, like Viking spirit that comes through in their music.
Yeah,
It's like this sort of, I don't know if you want to say that, I wouldn't call it Celtic, but sort of uh, you know, Anglo rock, I suppose. This.
yeah, dude. That's another thing I love about it is the
Yeah.
Englishness of it.
Yeah, oh, maddeningly. I mean, I'm so into that vibe, and
I'm a
it.
total Anglophile.
Yeah, I mean, I am. I'm like 50% English and the rest of it, but it's, you get where I'm going with this. So, like, just rebel against the system. Like, fuck the system, man. Do our music. Be a Chad.
Yeah.
Scare the Jews. Do what it is that we do.
You're gonna have to cut that out in post, bro.
I'm I'm just saying, like this whole. I mean, I feel like that's essentially like a lot of what feminism is it's this kind of like policing of masculinity, that
Oh,
that like
absolutely. Yeah.
that just try to shame men for being men, and the whole thing. So it's just a crazy, crazy time we're living
The
in.
hen peckening.
The hen peckening. That almost sounds like a Stephen King book or something. The hen
I
peckening.
know that's
She's,
what it
see,
feels like. It feels like a Stephen King movie, like
well, like,
Misery or something.
there's your next book right there, buddy. There's your next book.
The hen peckening,
The hen peckening. Yes.
starring White
Yeah,
Devil.
I was gonna say, like, you could. I mean, I think of like '80s cast or something, like, like starring Jack Nicholson, something. But yeah, Yeah, I don't know. That's good. It's good to hear. It's funny because I've got all these songs in development. I guess let me say a super fast hello to the chat, bros.
Yeah,
T
yeah,
Rad
yeah.
Dad, T Rad Dad is here. My main man, Big Muscles. All right, I see his little icon there. Hippocratic Oath is here. Mac is back. This is the crew right here, man. We are ready to shred it.
Hell
So
yeah, man.
good guys right there. I'm telling you.
Like I was saying, you got the best audience, bro.
See, I'm until you kind of pointed out some of these things, I didn't really know. Like, I don't know what other communities these guys are coming from, and it sounds like you have a better sort of social knowledge about who's who in our sphere, and I mean, are a lot of those guys from the No White Guilt community, or how do you know them?
Actually, the only one that I recognize from
Mm,
NWG community
yeah.
is Promethean Healing.
Okay.
And
All right.
well, I mean, for now, the other guys, I
Mm,
remember Hippocratic Oath and I had a few good exchanges on the last stream.
okay.
And
Very good.
yeah, dude, it's cool to see who shows up in here. There's some good folks in your
Yeah.
and some of their comments are like really knowledgeable too. That's
Oh
what I
yeah,
was
dude. I know. I
really
have.
taken aback when some of the stuff Hippocratic Oath mentioned. I was like, whoa, this dude knows his stuff.
I know. I have to like. I better brush up on my reading before I even say a damn thing. Now. No, I'm teasing. But it's. I mean, I want to be around people that are smarter than me. You don't learn. You don't learn anything if you're just kind of in a bubble, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, big
It's
fish
very
in a
cool.
little pond.
Yeah, I think people tend to, you know, I don't know. There's this seem sort of a tendency, I think, for people to want to be right all the time and to like they can't admit that when they're wrong, or they should just once in a while just be humble. Like if somebody can teach you something, just open up your mind a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Mm.
That's what I keep trying to tell them, but they always just run away screaming. I'm not sure what's going on there.
It's if there's one thing I'm remembered for, I hope that it's me warning people about the dangers of the ego. I
Yeah.
said it countless times, because of us being friends and in the chat groups that we're in, whatever. But
Yeah,
I
I
this
think martial arts is really good for that in a lot of
mm,
cases
mm,
because if you get beat up a few times, it kind of puts an end to the ego. At least
wow,
that's kind of what happened to mine.
yeah, that's
I go up
that's
against the little dude in class and I think that I could overpower him and he totally schools me. You know,
yeah, yeah.
that's pretty cool.
So I was on that topic. I was hanging out with a really close friend of mine yesterday who is a Kempo teacher. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and he's a super, super close friend of mine, and he's an exceptional, exceptional teacher. I just out of the fear of not wanting to say too much about him and keeping, whatever his privacy or whatever, I won't go into any detail about him. But he was showing me a bunch of techniques and just two martial art bros hanging out having fun learning stuff and
Yeah.
so he's so I think for a very long time I was very like what's the word mm, I think I'm you know I was sort of like I've got what I need and I need to work on the stuff that I know. I don't want to try to pick up new information.
Yeah, man.
And
I
but
feel that sometimes.
Yeah, but I'm now at a place where I'm ready to pick up new information. Like I'm ready to open up the gates, and let the information in. So it's been really cool because the stuff, he's seen me do some moves and whatnot, and he's like, there's a lot of stuff here that is kind of like the way you move. It looks kind of like the expanded version of what we do in Kempo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
or you teach Kempo, I believe. I think. Am I right or no? Or
No,
you?
no, I'm just kind of a fan. I'm a fan
Oh,
of Kenpo,
oh, okay,
and
okay.
I've done a little bit of training in styles that are adjacent to Kenpo.
Okay.
I had this teacher, and he had a combined version of Kenpo concepts
Oh, cool.
combined with Jeet Kune Do concepts, and
Oh, that's
it was called Ken Jundo. It was really cool. Hey, bro.
that's. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut out on you, man. I just got a text from the coach,
Oh, you
and
gotta
I'm gonna
go.
have to.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a
man.
bummer.
Dude, let's continue this later for
All
sure,
right,
dude.
no problem, man. All right, buddy. You have yourself a great evening, and we'll catch you next time. Okay.
You too. Hails, bro. Bye
All right,
bye.
brother. God bless. All right, so let me look into the chat. There's quite a lot of people here. I'm gonna respond. For Promethean Healing, welcome. I heard you did a stream with White Student Transmission on his new book. Not just one stream. I did an entire series. It's only like five episodes, but it's at this YouTube. When you're done with this show, or when you get an open another browser, whatever, look under playlists. It is extremely powerful. We are trying to get that into schools and universities, and even it's essentially the legal way to fight critical race theory. I just can't tell you enough about it. I love it, and he's a good friend, and so I want to strongly recommend everybody check out Equal Training. That's the name of the playlist. So I'll have to check it out, brother. Good to see you, and good to see you have a co-host for tonight. Well, see, what I do is I share a link to my buddies saying, "Hey, man, you guys want to come on? Come on, and we'll just free chat." So Kimeru El Perro just drifted into here. Name of the comic? Well, name of the comic is being withheld because I'm waiting for permission from the producer, who's spending a lot of money getting this book out. But what I will do is I'll show you some pages for your entertainment and edification, and give you a little look at more of the art, more of the story. When you're doing comics, there's always these spaces. That's where the word balloons go. It's some crazy sci-fi superhero madness. What it does is it takes memes and turns them into superheroes and supervillains. It takes pop culture, things that we all know about in the political cultural landscape, and sort of superheroizes it in a sense, comic bookizes it. So that, like, this is Capital Pig right here. You've heard, capitalist pig. Capital Pig is, based on the concept of a capitalist pig, and he owns both the Republican and Democrat Party. There's the swamp, drain the swamp. Trump was going to drain the swamp, and these guys are kind of swampy type creatures. There's a lot of deeper esoteric symbolism there. This ties into some historic things. When the book finally does come out, it's going to be like a pop culture phenomenon. These guys are like Chad memes. There's references to all kinds of stuff. You've got Apollonian philosophy in there. The whole, you know, reptilian pop culture subtext going on. Um, Democrats, Democrats, Democrats. You probably maybe came across those concepts. So there's the cover that looks really good in color. This is Clown World. If you know anything about internet political culture, then you've heard of Clown World before. So it gives you a taste of what the book's about. Promethean Healing says, "I'm humbled." I don't know. Okay. You're referring to the conversation. Let's see. Wit- uh, how do I pronounce this? Witukn. Witukun? Hello, just drifting here. Good to see you. Are you a comics fan? Are you an art fan? Um, Tons of cray fun comic book art happening at this channel. I don't only do comics. If you float around the channel, you'll see lots of other content, which is pretty heavy content, pretty serious content. But this is the fun zone here. So you're in the fun zone. Mac says, I've been rubbing my hands and doing simple Qigong movements. Oh, um, tell me more. Tell me more. We can talk Qigong. I can share some techniques, some ideas, some thoughts if you want to ask questions. For those who are new here, I lived in Asia for 5 years, Japan and Taiwan, studied Kung Fu, Qigong, Buddhism, Taoism. We can talk. You just got to throw me some questions. Promethean Healing says, I imagine some people in here have to walk around with neck braces all the time to support the weight of their massive brains. We got a lot of big brains in the dissident, right, my man? Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, moving on. Not me. Her. We have some cyan in here. I think that's is that a manga thing? A cyan? I don't know what that refers to. Take care, whoever you are. Okay. Promethean, sorry, man. I need to check your channel, especially since you're very active again. I do love your insights into the arts. Thank you so much. It really is a lot to do with people like you being around and having cool people to talk to and share thoughts with and respond to. So like, if I was hanging out with a bunch of like football players or accountants or something, like the conversation would be very dry. Anyway, Hippocratic Oath says, I'm just a voice in Donald's head. I don't exist. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm losing my mind. That's quite funny. That'll be our next comic book. Promethean Healing, haha, me too. We're just all Jungian archetypes that he's suppressed. Dude, now I'm starting to get paranoid. Okay, I'm starting to get paranoid here. What's going on? Is this even real? Oh no. I'm like actually a guy in a cell in a straitjacket somewhere, staring blankly at the wall, Hey stud. CG's here. How we doing, big bro? I was supposed to do the movie night with Dirty D like last night, but there was some miscommunications, and so we're gonna do it next week. Um, I believe, what did he do? Jason and the Argonauts. Next week we're doing Valhalla Rising, which is a very violent film, but it's artistically, it's kind of like if you've ever seen the movie Mandy, which is very weird but like highly aesthetic and artistic. It's kind of like that, but with like Vikings. So that is going to be a crazy show. I strongly recommend people check that out. Promethean says the original Chad meme was cool and was a creative depiction of a specific type of alpha white guy. Yes, indeed. Seven Serpents, welcome back. Great to have you back. Um, get back to inking here in a second. Let's see. Shang-Chi Taoism shaped a lot of my metaphysical thinking. Shang-Chi Taoism. Can you expand on that? I mean, when I think of Taoism, I'll share what I know about Taoism, but like I think of Lao Tzu, who was the supposed writer of the Tao Te Ching, which a lot of historians say that that's probably you know m- it's probably compiled over thousands of years from different writers. Chuang Tzu is the next big thinker in Taoism that came, like I don't know, centuries later or something, and there's more about him. He's an actual historic character. He's not a legend. And his writings, are more poetic, more philosophical. But I've never heard of Shang-Qing Taoism. So one thing I can tell you though, when I first moved to Taiwan, I was very, very, very interested in learning authentic Taoism and Taoist practice. I didn't. Okay, so, but here's the thing. Um, there's Taoist temples on like almost every single corner of any town or city in Taiwan. And they're everywhere. Um, and they're really beautiful. And of course, I've taken lots of pictures of them, and there's lots to say about them. They're really important parts of communities. Wherever there's a city, there has to be a Taoist temple, for various things. But I noticed in these temples that there's no monks. There's people that run the temples, and they're primarily for things like weddings and funerals and um, special kind of Taoist holidays. There's a type of, I don't know what to call it. It's like a future soothsayers and fortune tellers that work there that advise people on, if you're going to get married, what month of the year should you get married, or how, um, what else, like, you know, what to name your child, or, all these kinds of things that kind of fit into the Chinese Taoist view of, you know, reality, their cosmology. So I started talking to people and saying, like, this is what about Lao Tzu and Chuang Tzu and all of this other philosophical stuff. How can I learn that? And I came to understand that there's essentially two Taoisms, or two kinds of Taoism, and one is just the what you might call like the people's Taoism, and that again is you know uh, just basic kind of life stuff, life and death, births, weddings, funerals, that kind of stuff. It's more about um, ancestor worship. Like everybody has what do you call it? An altar in their home that has pictures of various Taoist gods, not pictures, like statues of Taoist gods and the like. And I dropped the cap and it disappeared. Anyway, and so I was kind of disappointed. I really felt like, how am I, excuse me, how am I going to learn this stuff? I mean, that's interesting and whatever, but that's not the Taoism that I read about, which is more about Qigong and longevity. Yes. Essentially, like the idea of ascending to higher realms after death, being essentially godlike, in terms of, going through various meditative practices to have these, to evolve your spirit, if you will. You could look at it that way. So anyway, I never did find that. I found, much more regarding my Buddhist practice, and they're very, very, very good practices. My sort of Zen practice, I don't know. I don't know how much you guys want me to go down that road. That's a pretty deep rabbit hole. But Seven Serpents, please tell me more. I'm very interested in that topic. Many athletes really like bright colors. Okay, yeah, you can tell by the uniforms they wear. Shang Qing is a lot closer to Western esoteric traditions, heavy on the internal alchemy. So let's talk about internal alchemy. Alchemy being the process by which you change one element into another element. So qigong is energetic work. You change oxygen and the energy in your blood and your and like the food that you're digesting, and you're combining it with consciousness, and there's many things that can be done. I know more about the health related side of that. I've studied some of the martial side of that, but the majority of my training is more on the health side. Um, and my training really is more in Buddhism. So, and Buddhism has a different goal to it. It's a different cosmology. You're meant to leave the reincarnation cycle. So, whereas like in Taoism, you're I guess the highest goal would be to become godlike, um, to become not eternal, but like to be immortal is the word I'm looking for. Promethean Healing says, I was listening to some of your videos after your last stream. I really appreciate your perspective on these topics. Great recommendation. Which videos are you talking about? Because I got a lot. Um, I'm still very proud of the um, Imperium art series. I pretty much define myself by that. I feel like that's me. That's me doing my thing. um, and I'm really, really proud of. It's definitely big brain stuff. It's not. There's some laughs, and some cool times, cool guests, and it's entertaining in many ways. It's still about the arts, but overall, though, it's meant to be like very, very inspiring, deeply inspiring to people in our sphere who, you know, are they care about arts and culture and, you know, want to be in control of the narrative of who we are and where we're going and what our vision is for our future. Um, you know, I've had pretty much most of the top speakers on there for the time. I mean, there's a lot of new people coming on, but I think I hit my I don't know what to call it. It's like you do a thing for so long, and then you feel like, okay, I'm pretty satisfied, with what I've done. There's probably like 50 episodes of that, and I want to do something different now. Um, so I started my Maga Force, the whole thing with Militia Man and that graphic novel, and then 2 issues into that, I this came back, so am switching gears and doing this project, which is still very much a part of my career, my world, my content, who I am as a creator within the white positive sphere, if you will. I wish we could come up with one name because like the dissident right, the white identitarian movement, the white positive sphere. There's all these different names that we kind of run by. Um, yeah, it's frustrating because I want to spill the beans on this more. I'd like to tell you more, and I know you guys have a lot of questions, but when you're getting paid, you respect the parameters. This is someone else's property per se, although I have a stake in it. Um, all right, so I'm going to do a little bit of reading on your comments here. This is sick. Hey, the one and only is here. Rock and roll, bro. Good to have you. I'll do, since we got some new guys here, just do a super quick look at my book here, Imperium Calling: The Art and Poetry of Donald Kent. There's some pretty badass comics in here if you guys want to do that. But I also I did Dynamite Thor with John Della Rose, who's well known within Comicsgate. But I also do illustration of all kinds, fantasy illustration. I've worked with Dave Martell. I did the logo for the after party for No White Guilt. I've published with Counter Currents. Um, do fine art commissions and portraiture, and so I'm the real deal, guys. um, anyway, let me get back to reading some comments here. um, I Promethean says, I have come to suspect that alchemical processes and theory may in fact be a more effective understanding of what is referred to in our current epoch as chemistry. Yeah, there's everything now is quantum. Like you have to look at things from in the quantum field, and And that is the place to start to understand all of the physical sciences, such as chemistry. So that's a massive tip right there. The channel I was talking about was that lady you just mentioned that talks about reincarnation and non physical realms. Yeah. And her book is like on the table across the room, so I can't. Green is her last. Isabella Green. Isabella Green. Strongly recommend people look her up. Becoming a big fan of hers. Bog Lords. Yes, yes. I love Dave Martell. And I want to do more with him. We were gonna. I did actually a Dave Martell comic. It's like just a 5-page comic that he wrote. Very badass. It's very Conan esque. I don't know if he'll ever get into that, like doing comics, but damn, he should. Didymus is here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Didymus is here. This is his show. Yes, thank you for reminding people it is the Donald Kent Show. I'm about to put on some tunes here. Get back into some music. Let's see if we can get it cooking. Why is there no sound? Okay, that's why. It seems like for this channel, like, you know, not fash wave. What's the word I'm looking for? Vaporwave, synthwave. Synthwave seems to be very appropriate for this channel. How are we doing on time? It's a little. If that's too loud or annoying, you guys let me know, and I'll just block you. No, no. Oh, it's pretty loud on my end. I like it, but it's a touch too loud. Maybe I don't know. So I'm psyched. I'm going dancing this Saturday. Oh yeah. Hello, ladies. Check it out. I found there's like a scientific report that shows all the physical activities that you can do and like the rate at which they um, fight depression. And dancing is by far the strongest antidepressant form of exercise. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, dancing. So for all of those people who laughed at me, put that in your pipe and smoke it. All right. Maybe that's why I'm such a good dancer because I'm so depressed. No, I'm up and down. I'm not. I'm. If you guys knew my life, you'd be like, yeah, I'd be fucking depressed too. But it's okay. It's just all part of this evolutionary arc that I'm on. It's a sort of a mental, spiritual, evolutionary arc. It's a type of. My life is a novel. It's a great novel, and one is very cautious not to tell their story as if it's complaining. Even though there's great tragedy, because you don't want it to turn into just a big whining, bitching party. You want it to inspire and move people and make them feel and care. You know, um, to have empathy. You know what I'm saying? Empathy is extremely important. I had this crazy idea today about like writing a poll on Twitter saying if forgiving the Jews and the blacks and the Muslims for everything they've done to white people could stop white genocide, would you forgive them? Pretty heavy concept right there. Anyway, you really are the real deal, Donald. Wide variety of skills that you have reached a degree of mastery in. That has to be a good feeling. It's crazy because I don't like. I'm subjective. I don't. Only you guys get to see Donald Kent. I don't. I don't get the experience of being on that side of the screen. and like, whatever, and looking at it or enjoying the content of the conversation. I'm in it. It's like when David Gilmour talks about Dark Side of the Moon, he says, I've heard millions of stories of people that love Dark Side of the Moon and how much it means to them, but I never had that experience because I made it, I was in it, so it's kind of bizarre, I guess, but to you know it does feel fucking good to be accomplished at stuff. I mean, I only see my faults, not only, but I see like, you could have been better here, you could have done better there, you could have da 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 da, could have, would have, should have, but I don't know. I'm like eternally youthful. Like I don't have, like, when people guess how old I am, they're way way off because they don't, because my approach to life is very like a child, in a sense of like I love to learn and grow and explore and experience and all of those type of things, and I think that, if you were to look at sort of the journey of how I just learned comic book art alone, because like you guys don't even know the years of like learning Chinese painting and or kung fu or guitar or writing songs or teaching. I mean, there's quite a lot of skill sets here, but it's just a sense of like, wow, what is this? What is this fascinating machine? I want to get inside this machine and like pick it apart and figure it out. So the comics thing specifically is because I grew up with them. I mean, we're talking, 4 5 years old, and like I thought that Spider-Man lived in New York City. I just thought that these are the stories of things that really happened. I didn't know that it wasn't real. Like I remember having a crush on Tigra, which is one of the Marvel characters. It's just so silly, It's like, I mean, again, I was a little kid, but somehow or other, I just wanted to believe that this is real. And in your little child, it's like Santa Claus. I mean, pretty painful to think about the time when you were a kid and you figured out that there's no Santa Claus. That's a pretty harsh. That's like when you realize that democracy is a bullshit system. That's like, oh shit, it's welcome to adulthood. But yeah, I don't know. It's satisfying to do. I think every artist has a type of, like, well, I want to be just like this other guy, and that thinking is just cursed, because you cannot be anyone but yourself. So you kind of just have to try to own it. You got to be the best version of yourself. I know that sounds kind of gay, but I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. Um, let's see what else you're talking about here. Let's go. Okay, you guys do what you got to do. You do what you got to do. But yeah, I don't feel like I have any reason to be like arrogant. I don't. I People I know are like, "Wow, you're fucking amazing." Da, da. I'm like, I'm really not. I'm really not. I try to do these things. I just I like doing these things. I try to do them well. I could be better. I have times where I'm like really on top of shit, and then other times I'm like, yeah, fuck, I gotta practice. So like, I've been getting back into my kung fu practice. I'm learning some new techniques from different teachers and integrating it to take my kung fu to the next level. I don't, it can't, I don't know, when you master a thing, then it's like, okay, what's next, So that's pretty much the goal there, is to, and it's interesting too, because when you take techniques or strategies or physics from one system and then apply it to your own, it's quite fascinating. You have to think through, okay, well, how does that actually work on my end? Like, and I'm close enough with that one Kempo teacher where I can talk, honestly about what it is I do, why I do what I do, and then to explain like what you're showing me, this is how that would fit into what I do, You'll probably zoom in on this a bit for your visual pleasure. It's here. I didn't come yesterday. No, why didn't you come? You should have been here. It was phenomenal. No, it was okay. It was just okay. But we missed you. So I like to get about, the people that are visiting my shows. Or maybe how you found this channel. That would be cool to know. I'm kind of I'm not a celebrity, but I'm well known within certain spheres, and people just share information and they find out about new content developers, and so I'd say like the majority of guys that come to this channel are already in my socio-political culture. But I've been getting a lot of guests, a lot of new guests. I think that's mainly because of my like the tags that I use on these, and some of the shorts that I've created for YouTube. Um, I need to do more shorts. I'm not doing enough of those. I got to do those like regularly. Yeah, I'm slacking. Not good, but we will prevail. Rory Herbert is here. Wow, guys, Rory Herbert. Pull up a chair. Probably the best concert I ever attended was the Pink Floyd The Wall concert in London in 1981. David Gilmour. Dude, I fucking hate you now. Like, I would kill for that experience. Like, I would kill for that experience. Um, I don't talk about it much, but like Pink Floyd, like in high school, I was known as the Pink Floyd guy. Like I lived and breathed Pink Floyd. I was actually just listening to the final cut just the other night, and I'm like, oh, this is such a masterpiece. And you probably know that Roger Waters presented The Wall and the final cut to Pink Floyd and said, pick one. And they picked The Wall, But, and then Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, just, you know, with Eric Clapton is on those, and he's on that one. Sorry, and he's the musicians on Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. It's just stunning. It's great. But yeah, The Wall, dude, like that film, I can remember seeing it in the theater after already becoming like a massive Pink Floyd head, and it almost brought me to tears. Like it just racked my brain. It was amazing. um I guess some people just they're not gonna like vibe with it or whatever. It's a certain type of person, I guess, that likes Pink Floyd. Someone who's not afraid to feel their own feelings, someone who has a little bit of a brain and thinks through things, because there's a lot of like socio-political commentary in there. It's not, love me do, that's there's some pretty deep concepts. um I think of a that's a lot. Like, I would say that like Pink Floyd laid the foundation in many ways for my anti-establishmentarianism, my how I became Donald Kenneth in this regard. My dad was really interested in politics. He read the newspaper every night, and always had to make sure that he caught the evening news, and he was well informed, as much as we know now that that would have been propaganda, that would have been bullshit, but simultaneously, like, he cared, you know what I'm saying? Like, he cared, and I think that always kind of impressed me, even though, like, as a youth or whatever, I wasn't gonna be like that or whatever. I had, cared about girls, like, or whatever, you know, like having long hair, man. I play guitar, whatever, being a teenager or something. But I think those things in the long run kind of laid a lot of important foundations for who I am. you know. Maddening. I love it though. I tell the kids every day, be glorious. That is the way to go. That's you got mad dad points right there, my bro. Pretty impressive how filthy tunnel rats keep avoiding apprehension. Hats off to the ambitious and the dedicated. Yeah, this does seem to symbolize something, doesn't it? I mean, and this little guy right here, um, this little guy right here, he's in charge of the rats. He's the one that's like his little army. And I don't know, he just somebody I was speaking to like last night says, "Gosh, he looks a lot like George Soros." I'm like, wow, that's an uncanny resemblance there. That's quite amazing. I wonder how that happened. So the world is just filled with unanswered questions. So interesting. Fascinating. Anyway, man. So what else can I tell you? Um, I guess I could see how like some people would not be into Pink Floyd. This stuff, it can be very heavy. Um, that's fine. Whatever. That's fine. But I'd say Pink Floyd fans are unique in that regard. That I don't know, maybe perhaps they have some kind of quality, of empathy, maybe, and like to me, like being able to enjoy or identify with music of this nature, I think shows social emotional intelligence. And this isn't something that people talk about much. We talk about IQ, but social emotional intelligence is, and I'll give you an example. Like I was having some difficulty with someone I know. I'm not going to say who. Um, and like this person is very smart. He's very well put together. Um, the whole thing very disciplined, hardworking, good guy, and in general. But when something kind of goes wrong in terms of like if there's a disagreement of some kind, then he breaks down into like an emotional infant. Like he just becomes very childish, and it's not good, and it throws me off because I'm like, whoa, like let's talk this through. I'm not trying to fight you or offend you or whatever. Let's just you know control your feelings. you know and so what I recognize is like, oh, he's got very low social emotional intelligence, and I would dare say that that is more important than IQ. um IQ is not unimportant, obviously. I don't want to say something stupid like that, but life is not just like you know like fixing a light bulb or something like that. It's about people. Life is about how people work, how social systems work. And if you don't have like a kind of a social emotional radar to feel those things out and to have like intuition or a certain type of self control that allows you to navigate those challenges, then you're behind, you know. Um, so, and this is not meant as an offense, but like this is something I've discovered about Asians is that they're high IQ but low EQ. Um, I think that it's probably not hard to imagine quite what I'm talking about. Like there's lots of cases of things, you know. But anyway, moving on. Rory says, I still have an original white vinyl copy of Dark Side of the Moon. Damn, dude, that's sweet. T-Rad Zeppelin. Yeah, I'm a mad Zeppelin lover. I'm a big Zeppelin guy. It's funny because you guys know Jefferson Lee. So he's a buddy of mine, and we used to have this funny, what would you call it? Like a rivalry, where it was like, which band is better, Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath? And I would always say Zeppelin. He's a Sabbath, and we'd kind of like, you know, friendly fights about it. You know, this funny stuff though. But Zeppelin for me, that's my vote. Um, and Luke Mason was just on the show a little while ago. Unfortunately, he had to leave. It's a bummer. But we were just talking about how Zeppelin has this really Chad Aryanism, you know, like this kind of Viking Aryanism. You know, I mean, it's obviously hard rock and stuff, but then you have these crazy mystical songs like the Battle of Evermore, or you know, this is things that they do that are, you know, not based on like black blues, you know. You know, like that's definitely not a black thing, you know. Anyway. Thoughts on Astral Club? Okay, so let me see. All right. I just bought 2 books on astral projection, and I'm continuing to research it because it's a very serious topic that you don't just stumble into blindly. So if you're talking about that, I can go, but like I've never heard of Astral Club. Is that a band or something? What's Astral Club? So just clarify your question. Seven Serpent says, I relate to the up against wall scene a lot differently now than I did in the 90s. Yes, yes, yes. There's one in the spotlight. He don't look right. Get him up against the wall. I'll tell you something, dude. Like back when I was in, I don't know, when I saw the Pink Floyd The Wall, I, how old was I? Shit. I don't know, 16 or something like that. And that scene flipped me out. And why it flipped me out is because I loved it. I loved it. Like I had this like intense exuberance, like this incredible thrill, and it was flipping me out because I'm like, everything I've been taught is that this is bad, and I'm not supposed to like this. Why do I love this so much? You know, I'm not. I think I'll just stop there. I don't. I think you know, that's all I'll say. But like in the context of what's going on now, you know, hammers, hammers, hammers. You know, it's fuck, dude. Wow. You know, I think that song or that like clip from the movie should be like a viral meme among our folks. And I've tried getting it out there actually. I'll put it on Twitter or something, and like nobody reacts to it, and I don't know why. I'm like, guys, this is so, you know. Anyway, Mia Hernandez says, "Wow, you are an artist." Well, that is very sweet of you to say. Today I went to a club in school, an art club. Tell me about it. Bye. I gotta go back on YouTube. Wah, wah. Bye, Mia. We'll see you again. Okay, you're probably gone by now. I prefer Dream Theater. You know, it's so funny because like a buddy of mine introduced me to Dream Theater, and he was like, "Oh, dude, you're gonna freaking love this. This is so you." And I just didn't jive with it, and I'm like, I want to like this. I should like this. Not that I don't like it. It's the kind of thing where like I respect it, but do I like it? You know what I mean? Like, I think probably if I gave it another chance or something, I think I could probably get to like it more. I'm impressed with it. If you know, that's not hard to say. I guess they also made a comic book, or no, I'm thinking of is it called Cambridge and Cambria or something? Anyway, um, yeah, Dream Theater. There you go. Um, Max says a YouTube channel by a guy with a lot of experience on astral projection. He makes essay videos on astral projection. It's called the Astral Club. I'm gonna write that down right now. Um, I've got a little note thingy here. I'm gonna make a note of that and look it up. YouTube, the Astral Club. Okay, Astral Club. Okay, so the one author that I bought his book on, like a beginner's guide. I'm watching tons of his interviews to get the bigger. It's like, okay, I can read your book, but like I want to hear, I want to hear about your experiences, and it's just easier when you're trying to do artwork and you don't have time to sit down and read a book. It's hard to make that work. So it's just easier to watch YouTube videos. um it's not being lazy, folks. So anyway, I the thing I'm trying to say here is that I'm fascinated with the relationship between lucid dreaming and astral projection. I didn't know that there was such a big connection between those things. And you guys know I learned and practiced lucid dreaming for quite a while, and to the point now where like I don't know what percentage, but like I frequently have lucid dreams, or parts of my dream will become very very lucid. Last 2 nights I had really really lucid dreams, not all night long, but like um and I you remember them because it was like, oh wow, that was a lucid dream. Like when you get one, you remember it because it's pretty stunning. You're awake in your dream. And but what's kind of more trippy about it though is that occasionally, and this is what happened to me in the last 2 nights, and what can happen is that some of the dream characters, they appear to be actual entities or people or spirits or something. They seem to have a consciousness of their own, and you interact with them. But I'm at where I'm at right now. I can't really. I have no evidence to say that they literally are. I There's like spirit visitations in dreams are their own thing. Like that has happened to lots of people. It's happened to me. Um, and it's a like it's a type of paranormal experience. I was actually thinking about talking about other paranormal experiences that I've had. I could be It's a little discombobulated though, because like years ago this thing happened to me, and years later this thing happened, and then but suffice to say, it kind of gets you in a place where you realize there's more under heaven than dreamt up in your philosophy, Horatio. So there you go. So I guess what I'm thinking about right now is just getting oriented to the idea of like, okay, let's say I do the practice, I I astral project, and then for the first, however long that I recognize like, okay, I'm outside of my body now. What next? Like, what do you do? What's next? And I think there's a whole type of like getting used to it phase where you have to literally get used to like, shit, I'm outside of my body, like what this is a different experience here, and get familiar with it to the point where you're not scared. And then you there's other type of practices like chanting and just sort of religious things that one can and should do just as a general protection. So like I guess I would I'm essentially expecting to run into spirits of some kind. I don't know because I feel them around me frequently. Um, so I think if I'm doing that, it's very likely I'm gonna be in some kind of contact. And generally the overall thing is like, what's my mission? Like what? And here's another thing is that it's all it's all mental. Like the world is mental. This is a quantum physics thing. Your unresolved traumas, of which I have many, they come up and out, and they kind of have a big role in your experience of whether it's a positive or a negative experience. So I've got to work through that shit. I have to come to some terms about various things, and like just saying like, oh yeah man, I like it, or oh, I'm gonna be stoic and I'm not gonna feel these feelings of that. You're lying to yourself. That shit is programmed deep into your neurology. You can't, when you're really really up against the wall, no Pink Floyd pun intended, that shit comes out and it's super real, and you're gonna feel it. So I have to break that barrier, and I'm not quite sure how to do that quite yet. Any books on qigong you would recommend? It's funny because all of my learning in qigong has been through actual people. When I lived in New York City, you've got this gigantic Chinese population, so you have tons of like highly, I don't want to say masters. There's masters there for sure, but like people that are dedicated hardcore. Like even the average person who does it is like super highly advanced because they just do it every day. And like some people jog every day. So the point I'm making is that it wasn't something that I read books on. It's I would go to meetings and get direct instruction from people on these things. Um, so unfortunately, I apologize. I can't answer that very well. One thing I would warn against, though, and this is a huge pet peeve of mine, is how many of these. Uh, there's like so many of these kind of qigong YouTube channels where people fashion themselves as like, oh, I'm a qigong teacher, and today's lesson is going to be on the blah blah blah, and okay, follow me through the movements. And then what it really boils down to is all you're doing is waving your arms in the air. Like if you're not applying the internal art of qigong, then you're literally just throwing your arms around the air and you're faking it. And that's like it's fucking annoying, you know. It's very it's shitty how there's tons of that on YouTube, tons and tons of it. And like today we're going to be doing the blah blah blah, and it's so, and then you breathe in and you breathe out, and oh, we're so spiritual, and I'm like, why are you so fucking fake, you know? So it's really frustrating to me if you know the internal meditation and then you do those movements and you're applying the breath work with it. I'm sure that there's definite applications. But if they're not teaching that, then how the fuck do they know what's going on? You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't know how to describe it. It's sort of like how would I describe it? It's just fake. So if they're not teaching you, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna see. I subscribe to this one qigong channel on YouTube. Let me take a quick look in my little subscription area, and I will tell you what it is. And this guy is. It's like a guy and a gal from Germany, and they're very, very serious practitioners. He's a pretty good teacher. Um, so let me see if I can find that for you in a second here. I'm gonna have to take a tiny break. We'll zoom out a little bit. Give me a second to look that up. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay. Sorry to keep you waiting there, guys. Hang on. See, someone's leaving already. um, Hold on. Come on. This is so typical. Just when I need something, that's when I can't find it, you know? What I'm gonna have to do is just write it down, and then next time I stream and you're on this, you know, in the chat, I'll just tell you. I apologize, but I don't want to spend too much more time looking. Mac says none of those teach you about the stuff like sex energy or starting fires with your hands. So the sex energy stuff, definitely, there's content out there. Um, I'd say there's probably a lot of content out there for that because it's, you know, publishers can sell it, you know, that kind of thing. Um, but as far as the DJ, I know who you're talking about. The guy in Indonesia who has the electromagnetic quality. He's a healer, uses qigong for healing, and it's a pretty famous clip of him showing his qigong powers and how he sets a piece of paper, like a newspaper, on fire. Um, no, I don't. I don't have access to that information. I'm sorry. Hmm. I was gone getting ready for work. Alas, I must bid you all adieu. Farewell. All right. He's probably gone by now, but adios. Hippocratic Oath, have a great day. Da, da. I think only one of the voices in your head is leaving, so it's okay. Whew, thank God. Okay. You're starting like a new running joke now. So like when new people come to the channel and you start like telling them I'm schizophrenic or something, you're gonna scare away all my new followers, this chat's kind of weird. Maybe I'll slip out the back door. The Earl of Stair is here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Earl of Stair, if I'm pronouncing that right. Your ruler is broken. Is that on purpose? So, the Buddha taught us that nothing is permanent in this life and that it's attachments to things that causes suffering, and thus we should learn to transcend our attachments and therefore transcend suffering. So that is my answer. And now and there you go. Woohoo. Hey, I fevet not ne. I'm so happy you're here. I'll just call you Aya or Aya Favet. It's a lovely name, actually. What is the origin of that name? Marvelous. So but I mean, for my regular folks that come to these live streams, you guys are noticing there's a lot of new people coming on and checking out the stream. I think most people just kind of come for a little bit, just kind of have a look see. But I'm always trying to ask you guys, how did you find me? That would help me to know, help me with the algorithm. Since we got two new people, I'm going to give you guys a little tour of some of my other arts. So here's a look at my book, Imperium Calling. There are comics in here, so if you like that content, you're going to get a handful or a fistful. But I also do illustration work, some real nice illustration work there that you can enjoy. God bless. Oh, and St. Thomas is back. Fabulous. God bless Donald Kent and everybody in the chat. Well, that is what we need, is God's blessing. So thank you, sir. So here's some of the horror illustrations. These are illustrations from a book published by the Bizarchives, and it's a horror short stories of science fiction and horror. There's the cover right there. You can find that on Amazon, and I get royalties from this. So if you purchase that, I'll be getting a few bucks, and I would mucho appreciate that. So here's just some other illustration work. I do fine art, conceptual art. This is actually a close-up of one of my Chinese paintings that I did in Taiwan when I lived in Taiwan for 4 years. So a lot of variety. It's not just comics in this world of broken rulers. See, that is a good question. The Earl of Stair, if I'm saying that right. Why is this ruler broken? It's because I am a rule breaker, you mofo. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. A true rebel. I'm a rebel, Dottie. A loner. Sigma Wolf. It's funny. I was sparring in a park last summer with some friends of mine. I do kung fu, and but like after we were sparring, I brought my guitar because I wanted to show the new song that I'm working on, and there was some like street dude, like a how do I say this? Like there's basically like a black dude who's like kind of a street hustler. He saw that, and for some reason, he somehow got the idea that he was going to hustle me into like getting in a band with him or something. And it's like, if you only knew who I am. But so it was just really, he kept pouring on like all the things that hustlers do. Like they have all their little street techniques where they try to, compliment you and, just all their little tricks, and they won't take no for an answer. They're very narcissistic. And I just said, I'm a lone wolf. I'm a Sigma male. So like, take a walk. But you basically have to be rude to people like that because they won't leave you alone. You have to be forceful, and it's like they obey the law of the jungle, not anything else. So you got to show strength. Anyway, if you guys have any questions about my art, happy to chat with you. Um, Before you leave the channel, check out some of the other, like the playlists and some of my music. Got a lot of cool original music on this channel. And I would really appreciate it if you shared any of my stuff and your social networks. Help me get my work out there more. That would be awesome sauce. Hippocratic Oath says, your stuff is broken, Gandalf to Saruman. Your staff is broken, sorry, not your stuff. You shall not pass. I was thinking, like, I think enough time has passed that I could probably watch Lord of the Rings again, you know, maybe like set aside a night with my son to watch that. Get some snacks or something, turn it into an event. And then we got commercials, blah blah blah. Da, 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 da. Yes, la la la. Not on my time. Okay. So one thing I notice about my shows is I'll start talking about a topic and then I won't finish, and then I'll go on to some other topic and I won't finish, and then I go on, and I do that like over and that's like my whole show is unfinished themes. So if I get off track, you guys can give me a little nudge. Um, a little nudge. Yeah. So it's funny because I'm doing the work right now, but like I've visited shows where I'm watching some other guy ink his comics, and I don't know what it is, but it's just something really gratifying to watching the work come alive. There's something really neat about that. But when you're actually doing it, it's more about concentration. Like you know, don't screw up. Like that's what you're thinking. Um, yeah. So T-Rad says not as many even keels as yesteryear. Hmm. Even keels. I like that expression. Hey, that's the name of our new band, the Even Keels. Yeah. I suppose I could move on to something a little more exciting to look at instead of that. Western kind hails chat. I consume flesh in order to nourish the brain. So these guys would say that, I would say. Meanwhile, we observed the dearest Donald. You mentioned your style of dancing. When are you going to break off some moves for us on stream? You know what? Maybe I can like do a little some dance moves with my like oh yeah, getting down. Ow, oh, check me out. Wow. That was so amazing what I just did. It's gonna be a big, big hit. It's gonna go viral. Um yeah, it's just a thing you gotta be there, man. I I'll tell you what, I have a friend who's a filmmaker, and he came to one of my sparring sessions and filmed it. And he's like a, he's doing some beautiful editing on it. It's like black and white and like close ups and slow motion, and so that's gonna be out there. I'm like, if I want to dox myself, I could show you guys, me sparring. But the dancing thing, I don't know. I think you'd like when I dance, it's totally freestyle. There's no like moves or whatever. There's nothing like, okay, I'm going on this TikTok to learn these moves. I'm not trying to be 20 years old and pretend to fit into some new fashion or something. I just have my own way of moving. Um, I guess it's probably very expressive. I think, like I mentioned, like I basically mask a lot of kung fu moves into the dancing, and that's how I met the dude that I spar with. Is that he was at a club. We were at the same club, and I'm having a blast, and I'm doing my thing, and he's like, "Dude, you do kung fu?" Like he's telling me, "You do kung fu?" Like I totally know what that's snake, that's crane, that's tiger. Like like let's talk, and we became good friends. So it's kind of funny. I don't know, maybe someday. I really don't want to be anonymous for the rest of my life. I feel like it's annoying in a sense. It's just it's the world. It's not me. Like this isn't really a choice. But the other thing though is that like I don't give a fuck about my face being out there. I'm not trying to be like a pop star or something. I'm not trying to be, you know what I mean? It's the art. The art is what matters, and the content is what matters, not me. So, like, it's actually very good to not show your face because it puts the focus on the work you do, which is that's what matters. It's what is meaningful. So I'm okay with that. Um, Oh, the ladies love that, really? That's funny. Yeah, do a little break dancing with the. Anyway, that's pretty funny. Jemima Puddle Duck is here. Wow, is that the coolest name on the internet or what, ladies and gentlemen? Jemima, welcome. Why would anyone do rat artwork? When they come for me, I jump straight back in the river. Yikes! Yeah, well, here's the story. Maybe I need to, since you're new here, I'll give you a little backstory on this in 10 seconds. So there's these characters here that are all kind of, that's the guy that controls the rats, the dude here. And it's his little rat army. But like, he goes by the name Demon Rat, which is really a slur for Democrat. Have you ever heard that term before? If you're internet savvy, you would know stuff like that. But anyway, this comic book has a lot of references to like political pop culture, the capitalist pig, the swamp, um, just various things of this nature. And so, like the demon rat uses his rat army to fight off these Karens. They're like Karen, the girls, the women in here they're actually robots. But you know how like someone would say, "Oh, she's a Karen," that's so the. I didn't write this, by the way, but anyway, this is the spoof that it is in the story. So anyway, Western Kind, I have a ski mask that I put on as a joke whenever I see someone with a face diaper on. Oh my god. Here, will me wearing this mask make you feel more comfortable? That's quite funny. I almost just accidentally ate a filling. Oh god. It would have been the second time. Oh no. Oh god. Um so speaking of like ski masks, oh, this was a couple years ago. This is a bunch of years ago. But I thought, you know what? I'm gonna start a whole stream on teaching self-defense, so that people in our culture can help defend themselves against anti-white violence, of which there's a fucking lot. And I thought this would be a really, really good a good thing to give to our people. So I'm like, well, I'm still not gonna dox myself though, so I'll get a mask, and I'll do the techniques with the mask on. And the mask that I have, it's it's a full head mask, but it's got like a skull on the face. And at the time, I didn't really know about like the Boogaloo Boys and that whole fashion. I'm not a Boogaloo Boy or whatever, but you guys hopefully would know what I'm talking about. These are essentially people who have a military background and are ready to. They're like, oh, it's dangerous to even say this on YouTube, but like when the shit hits the fan, like these are the guys that would go in with their military experience and take care of business, I guess, if you will. Um, and so I just thought it was a cool mask, and I put the video out there, and it was like the first one of this series that I was going to do. And one of my good friends in the movement, like, contacted me immediately, and it was like, get that down now, like, get that off YouTube or wherever now. Like, and I'm like, why? Just do it. I'll explain. Just get it down now. And then, of course, he explained the whole thing to me, that like that you with that specific mask, you make yourself look like some kind of terrorist or something. And I was like, oh fuck, I didn't know it was associated with that. Not that Boogaloo Boys are terrorists. They're not. But I don't know. I don't know. It's just a meme, I guess. Anyway, could I still pull off a martial arts stream? Hmm, that is a wonderful notion. The thing of it is that what I do, it's really something you'd have to learn live. Um, I don't teach stuff that's like just technique based. It's like energy based, which is hard for most people to understand. Um, so yeah, it doesn't lend itself well to video instruction. Um, let's see. I have a ski mask that. Oh, you just read that. I almost just said it. Okay. So there you go. So what other shows are you guys into? That I would love to know. Just to give myself a sense of like, you know, what other communities are you involved in? You know, uh, and give me a little sense about like what you do outside of the Donald Kent zone. I know a lot of you guys follow Jason Kuna. Um, so like for me, I'm next Monday. I'm going to be on Yiz's show. It's the Discordant Dragons show. So that'll be Monday. On the following Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a show with a guy goes by the name Dirty D on, I believe it's the Warcast channel. And that's just going to be a movie commentary show, just a fun, you know, two guys watching a movie, having just doing commentary and stuff. But the movie is going to be Valhalla Rising, which is a phenomenal film, and definitely I'd say something that is, oh, I don't know, like type of an epic in our culture. Um, Western Kind says, you carry defensive equipment. Every time that I leave the house, I have a Smith and Wesson 7 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. Damn. I Depending on where I'm going, I will uh, carry a defensive weapon. We want Dirty D, yeah. Um, if I'm in when I'm going in the city, I'm almost always, carrying some weapon with me. Um, so anyway, that's that. Um, but it depends. Like there's one neighborhood with like a really really great club that I go to. I'll be going there actually Saturday, and it's not a safe neighborhood. It's not a great area to be. So I'll leave a bit early to get a good parking place close to the club. That way I don't have to kind of worry so much. But when I'm leaving, anytime I'm getting from my car to the club or back, I pretty much am in like kill mode. I'm like, I don't want to kill you. Please don't make me kill you because I will if you fucking attack me with all your buddies. You know. Oh man. It took me 2 years to get my pistol permit. The fucking the politicians around here are just like absolute shit, like total shit, complete garbage. I don't know if there's any good politicians in the world, honestly. Let's see. We got Rory Herbert. He is saying during COVID, when we were forced to wear face masks in the UK, I went to my local supermarket wearing a cardboard Nigel Farage full face mask, dude. That's awesome. I'm sorry. That turned a few heads. I can tell you. I'll bet. Uh, Welcome aboard. Yes, good to have you here, Rory. Um, how many of you guys are in the UK? Because it seems like I got a lot of UK friends that frequent my channel. Do you guys catch the Tuesday streams with me and Patriarch? We do those Patriotic Live art shows. Um, we we've been doing some very educational material. Constantinople, Alexander the Great. So it's not just live art, but there's a kind of little bit of history involved in the show. It's pretty cool. Pretty groovy. Let's see. I recently started watching Patriarch, but it comes on early in the day when I'm working, right? Um, yeah, that's always been the thing with doing shows is time zones. I mean, I've got, you know, I was actually talking to Joel Davis about coming on one of my shows not long ago, and I've had him on before, and I'm a fan of his. We know each other, but been on shows, panels, and stuff together. But he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm in Australia, and like it's a bitch, like the whole time zone things. It's just such a pain in the ass to work around." Yeah, whatever, you know. But from like California to Finland, I mean that's a huge range of time zones to work within. Um, yeah, so it's a bit rough. Um, but I've just noticed that like it seems like I have a pretty large fan base in the UK, which I love. Me being the Anglophile that I am, I was thinking like I would love to go to Mark Collette's patriotic alternative conventions. Um, that's like a bucket list thing. Like I really want to do that. I had the Andreas. Uh, you guys would probably know him as the Hey Buddy guy. Had him on not long ago, and he had attended that. I think a lot of people knew him from that. Actually, it seems. I guess. Um, I gotta get back in touch with him soon. We were talking like we've got to do some kind of collaboration. He's like a really good energy there. Maybe I could have him on. Yeah, I should have him on for the Kaimoros commentary show. That's a damn good idea. He's very revolutionary. Like he's, you know, doesn't pull any punches. Western Kind says I use. Oh wait, no. Oh, okay. I use an appendix holster for the MP9 shield. I have in the past carried my Glock model 17 generation 3 at 5 o'clock in and outside the waistband holster. However, putting it on is inconvenient. Yeah, I think if I'm carrying, I would want it to be concealed. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I'm not actually inclined to really talk, like explicitly about that on this channel. But I'll stop there. Hmm. Hey, John. Welcome to the club. Good to have you here. Just give you a little look at the comics page I'm doing here. Some badassery going down. Are you a comics fan, John? Um, this is like the third time I've done this because I get a lot of new people on my show. Whoops, hold on, and I just kind of want to feature some of my other art. I do poetry, some fine art, conceptual art. Raymond Pierce is here. Love the artwork. Just subscribe. Thanks, Raymond. Great to have you. This is my book. It's on Amazon Imperium Calling the Art and Poetry of Donald Kent. Oh, yeah. And so this is a variety of freelance work I've done. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the After Party. It's not airing anymore, but it's part of Jason Kuna's No White Guilt channel. I'm sure you probably find me in his archives. There's some fine artwork that I've done, you know. Um, So the comics thing is a blast. I love comics, but it's just a different type of emotion, a different type of expression. When you're doing comics, you are storytelling, and you know, it's essentially films on paper. I'm basically a frustrated filmmaker. I would love to be a filmmaker, but I got a pencil and paper, and so that's how I do it. So anyway, I'm gonna get back to work. Feel free to ask me any questions, um, or tell me more about yourselves. I'd like to know more about the people who are subscribing and hanging out, joining my community here. It's always good to know. Would you accept a commission for a fursuit? Haha. Yeah, that's outside of my skill set there, big guy. Um, yeah. I appreciate you guys a lot. I'm glad that you enjoy my work and you come and hang out. Be pretty fucking lonely if I had to just talk to myself all this time. It's funny. I wanted to be a comic book artist when I was a little kid. And I had this thought recently, like how if I were, let's say, if I could go back in time and I could live my life over, how I could use the things that I know, but like how, like in high school, I could have done something like created a comic book that took place in my high school and then like made copies and sold it to people, for a buck or something. And that could have been a neat thing to do. Um, I wasn't very sort of illustrious regarding making money when I was a teenager. My brother was. He had his own candy company. We had there was a business in town that sold molds and candy. Like, so you would melt the chocolate and put it into a mold, and then put it in the freezer, pop it out, and just anything you could imagine, whatever. Lots of cool shit. And he had a paper route, so he would advertise these chocolates to the folks in the neighborhood on his paper route. And they, of course, they bought it. Who doesn't like chocolate. And it was just a really neat thing. I always admired that about him. Like, he was always finding some way to make money. Me, I was just like, oh, I just want to draw and write poetry and play guitar. flirt with girls. Actually, I think probably a bit shyer. I mean, I was never a shy guy per se, but I'm sure I was a bit shyer in high school. You know, the thing about it is that like it's not about being shy. It's about how freaking beautiful she is and how taken away you are. If you're super attracted to a girl, then you're like, you know, it's like oh shit. That's why it's important to I don't know what to call this, but like I don't like to call it game or whatever. Like I'm not Roosh, you know. I don't, but like you should you should be able to just talk to any girl at any time, and you just work it, you know. Like be funny, have casual conversation. Don't turn it into some big scary thing. Like train yourself to just get in the zone when you see someone you're attracted to and just because they're just people, you know. Unlike me, I am a cyborg created by AI. So let's read some comments. Raymond Pierce says, "Do you have a favorite comic, and who is your favorite comic book character?" I would love to segue into oh shit. Where is it? I just had some very cool comics a minute ago. Hold on. Um, I like the old stuff. I'm into all the Bronze Age stuff. To me, that was a golden era. John Byrne is one of my top favorites. But I also like Mike Mignola. Um, it's I like comics art that is sort of realistic or like has a stylized realism to it. Um, Great storytelling is a huge part of it. Um, I hate like over rendered art. Like I hate art that has like super weird wonky what the hell's it called, like anatomy and shit like that. I get it. Like comics are an exaggeration of reality, so they should generally have some kind of super quality to them or what have you. But yeah, so like I like the old stuff. I mean, I mean, John Buscema is a big one. You know, kind of hit and miss on Frank Miller. Like sometimes I love it and sometimes I hate it. Hippocratic Oath says, I watch Apollonian Germ, Dr. Deep State, Theoria, Apophysis, Brendan Lee, sorry, Brendan Lee O'Connell on Rumble. Yes, very good. Farsight, and sometimes Nick Fuentes. That's a really great lineup, what you're talking about right there. It's a very good lineup. Where did the other comic book go? I have like comic book gremlins or something. Every time I set something down, it just fucking disappears on me. Um, just taking a little break to have a little fun, get back to the good fun time stuff. Um, that's just good. I haven't listened to Apollonian German in a long time. I used to follow him pretty closely. Um, Like this is a pretty dramatic scene right there. Look at the shadows. Look at the beautiful rendering on his face and his eye. That hand and that gun is like perfectly illustrated. It's incredible, you know. Um, that's quality right there. That's quality art right there. Um, so Splattercat is back. All right. Been here since you started streaming earlier, but wanted to pop in to say hi. Oh, you're lurking, huh? A lurker, huh? So I'm glad to see that you're here. Splattercat, help me out here. Are you male or female? Yeah, a lot of time girls use cat like in their names and stuff. They tend to like cats. So I just want to LOL, guilty as charged. So you're a lurker. Okay, well I'm asking. I just would like to know. So I'm checking out some fun comics. This is John. I believe this is John Byrne. Yes. Uh, no, Brent Anderson. Wow, nice. Brent Anderson here, but this is comics were different back in the Bronze Age. Like there's a huge emphasis on, well, like, you have these like really small panels and all this information just packed into it, with billions of details, but yet somehow it still works. It's kind of incredible. It's pretty crazy. Um, but yeah, there's just something about the older stuff that I like. I mean, not all of it. Some of it's junky and clunky. But anyway, that's just a little break, from what I'm doing here. I'm a 40-year-old male. Can't even remember why I made the name. That is, yeah. I mean, but you can see what I mean. Like a lot of girls like cats, and it's a thing. So whatever. Just had to clarify. Um, all right, what else is shaking? Well, I think that's the end of the music. Can you guys even hear the music? Raymond says, thanks for the insight. Who's your favorite comic book character? So that gets a bit deeper right there. I'll start off by saying that I like sort of tortured characters. I like the Silver Surfer. He's exiled from his planet and the woman that he loved, you know, in order to save her and his world, and then he has to wander the stars alone. And like you know I like tragic characters. I To me that is human. That's more realistic. And there's something there. Like I don't like the goofy characters like Deadpool. I mean, I don't hate Deadpool, but I like Deadpool. To me is it's not my personality. Like that kind of like dirty humor and nah, I don't know. It's like not me. Um so what else can I say? I love the Vision. You guys probably know the Vision from the Avengers. Now it's funny because most people are like Spider-Man, Captain America, Batman, blah, blah, blah. And it's just the usual stuff. I love those characters, but I don't. I need something more. Like I need something that's like, wow, there's another level there. And so here you've got the Vision, who is an android who has like human memories grafted onto him, and he, in a sense, he sort of has the experience that he's human, though he knows he's not. And there's something like existentially very fascinating about that he is in a way almost always trying to prove that he's human like the rest of them. And then his powers are fucking cool. I mean, he can change his density to be like adamantium strong and super heavy, and like the weight of this density could collapse a building, or he could become invisible, like practically, where he bullets can pass through him. And it's called what they call phasing. He'll put his hand inside someone's chest and then phase back into a solid, and that would that like, plus he just looks so freaking cool like that. There's just something about the design of the character that I absolutely love. It's just so cool. He has a kind of I guess like almost like a wizardly magician-ish kind of look, but which is another thing. So, characters like what's his name, Doctor Strange. Not like I don't collect Doctor Strange or whatever, but I do like characters that have that kind of cosmic, mystical quality about them. I think that those are interesting characters. I'm a big Hellboy fan. I talked on another show about when I met Mike Mignola at the Big Apple Con in New York City. It's kind of a fun story. Um, how I nerded out over that. That was cool. Um, there's a guy named Ryan Sook, Sook, who he's got a really interesting style. You have to kind of really be into comics to know someone like that. He's more contemporary. Um, but you're asking me about characters. Who else? What's his face? Nightcrawler. I love Nightcrawler. That's another example of like a very cool concept for a character who is, he's a devout Christian, but he looks like a devil. Like what a you see the contradiction there, like how hard it would be for him in the world looking like how he looks, but yet in his heart he's a devout Christian. Also, the fact that he's German, I find that very interesting. There's no German characters that that I know of, other than the Red Skull or something. I don't even think he's not German, but like you know what I mean. Like they don't portray Germans very kindly. Um, don't get me started. Okay, let's read comments. Some interesting stuff here. Yeah, you are right about the KLOL faintly. Talking of film producers, my old school roommate, the actor Carrie Elwes, I can't pronounce that, had a stepfather, Elliot Kastner, who produced the 1968 film Where Eagles Dare. Wow, starring Richard Burton. No kidding. And Clint Eastwood. That's what a small world. Hippocratic Oath says that was a trick question. Militia Man is his favorite character. Ha ha. Good, good, good. See, I I need to pay you. Okay, I'm gonna hire you. You're gonna be on my staff. Okay. As soon as I get that million that I'm waiting on, you got a job, bro. Okay. We're gonna go places. Just gotta get that million in the mail. Can you guys hear the music? It seems like it's loud enough to do that, but the thing is, there's someone else in the house that is probably sleeping right now, so turning it down. Western Kind says, I want to share a fact about myself, that being that I would prohibit the song Creep by Radiohead. It promotes weakness and low self esteem, contradictory to masculinity. So it's funny because earlier in the show, I was talking with Luke Mason. He came for visit, and he's a hardcore shredder dude. And we're we're setting up a show with another musician guy that goes by the name Bass Guitarist, and both those guys are pretty hardcore shredder, hard rock dudes. And we were just discussing how, like, you put anything out today that celebrates or shows masculinity, and like the industry wouldn't touch you, because it's you're exuding white man strength. And so like I'm hearing your point regarding Creep. I think when that came out, it just seems to me that I'll just say this like maybe it was new or different for its time in insofar as like you know it was the opposite of saying like oh I'm so cool or I'm the best or so I feel like music kind of runs in these patterns where it's underground for a while and then it goes mainstream and then a new underground evolves and then that goes mainstream and it's a cycle. um but yeah, anyway, Raymond says interesting, thanks for the insight. I like the Incredible Hulk, definitely. Which Hulk movie do you like? That'd be an interesting question. You're so smart. I'm a loser. I'm not worthy. Go sleep with Jamal because I can't. Yeah, yeah. And I'm really tuned into what you're saying in terms of like the message. I think radio, or not radio, Coldplay is really, really, really guilty of this kind of like cuckery. It's just this, I don't know. It's just super, super cucky music. Like, the melodies are pretty and this and that and stuff, but like if you really listen to the lyrics, it's just like it's very it has this kind of like strong anti-white, anti-masculine subtext to it that's very, very negative. You know, which is even more inspiration. I keep talking about getting back into music, but I really just don't have the time right now. I got a lot on my plate. I need to get this thing done. This is my top priority right now. Yeah. Yeah, that's what's what. Okay. I remember how widely promoted that it was when Viva La Vida was released. Yeah, yeah, I mean, this no mistake behind these things. I just saw something on Telegram, I think. It was essentially screenshots of tweets from the guy who is in charge of this new big AI coming out. And there were numerous like explicitly anti-white tweets. Just white privilege is real, and blah, 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 this is total faggotry garbage, coming out of this asshole's mouth. And I'm like, it's uncanny how everyone who's in charge of any big power position is always extremely explicitly anti-white. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. And then you have all these normie retards that oh no, let's make an excuse. Let's dance around it. Oh no, that's not what it is. It's something else. Oh blah 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 blah. Oh look, the football game's on. Da 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 da. Just little fucking faggots. I'm so disgusted with white people that cannot stand up for themselves. I'm disgusted with them. This shit is so hardcore, but keep your head down. Keep your head down. It'll just go away by itself. Maybe if we're nice, then they'll be nice to us. Those days are gone. We don't live in these like white suburbs where everybody leaves their doors unlocked at night and everybody says hello when they walk by each other and in the park or on the street or something. We're living in a fucking shithole now. Sir Thomas Lipton is here. Will you be selling this artwork when it's complete? So, that is a massive and an excellent question, and I'm gonna pull out a lot of artwork to show you since you're new and you just caught me in the middle of like a really negative rant. Um, Hold on. So I'm gonna move this aside, and that's a lot of pages, my dude. Um, that's a ton of artwork, and the answer would be yes. I will sell the pages individually. All comic book artists sell their pages, like it's a thing. It's collectors, you know, they like to have the original artwork. And so once this thing gets off the production line, I will set up my website for to sell the pages. So um I might even auction. I haven't thought that through, but anyone who's a fan of mine, I'm delighted to you know get my artwork to them in one way or another. I actually had a guy in Brazil who won, or what was the situation? I kind of can't exactly remember, but it cost more money to send him the artwork than the money that he paid for it. But he was so like he just loves my work so much that he had to have it. And that's pretty like wow, that someone would pay more in shipping than and that's really because like Brazil is just like you know corrupt and they're just screwing the guy basically. But like imagine if like the US postal system were like, oh, let's charge this guy extra, we're gonna get more money out of him, like just like a bunch of gangsters. Welcome to Brazil. But anyway, yes, I would be doing that. Raymond says, have you ever been interested in manga or anime style art, and what are your thoughts on Japanese comics and anime? Well, you guys know I lived in Japan for a year. I went to school there on an exchange program. And obviously, everybody knows anime is a big, big deal in our culture, our online culture, etc. But I never got into it. I've always felt that like the anime face looks alien. Think about like what does an alien look like? They got a big head, super small nose and mouth, and gigantic eyes. It's an alien. Like manga art is alien heads. So they look ugly to me. They look weird. Um, when I studied art in Japan, I was studying traditional landscape painting, Zen painting, like that kind of stuff. So now, anime, so you got to know like manga just is the Japanese word for comics. It's not, it just means comics in Japanese. Anime, short for animation, whatever. So like what's the damn movie? Ghost in the Shell, love that. Um there's some anime that I like, but I can't connect to it. I'm like the bad guy because everybody loves this stuff so much and I don't. So I'm really alienating myself by not liking these things. Um and I don't, of course certainly don't mean any offense to anybody or whatever, but it aesthetically it's not my bag, it's not my thing. This It's really a lot to do with the Japanese though. Like let's say a bunch of our guys learned how to do manga style comics and then wrote and illustrated, comics that appealed to us as an audience, but with American writers. I probably would like it, to the extent of like, okay, this isn't some weirdo Japanese, like, you know how like the some of their ideas just don't make any sense, like they don't connect. They'll just go from one topic to the next, and like there's all this like like the girls all act like these weird, like they're so cute, they're cute, and they're more cute. They're so cute that it's like fucking cringe. Like I'm getting fucking cavities from how cute they are. It's weird. It's not normal behavior. So like I don't dig it. It's not my bag. I hope that I didn't offend anybody by that answer, but that is how I feel, and I'm sticking by it. Oh wow, Splattercat just bought my book. I'm super happy. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated, my bro. Please do give me a review of it as well when you can. Um, what else am I missing here? Japanese comics. So, you know, it's yeah, I really just don't know what to say. Like, I wish that I liked them because I'd fit in better. I'd be more popular. But like, I don't care for it. I find it irritating a bit, which I think I'm expressing well. And like, if you like them, then go for it, bro. Like I don't. I'm not gonna be mad at anybody because they like it. That's your taste. It's your prerogative. So you do you. You know what I'm talking about? That's like one of the best things in life is to just have the philosophy of you do you. It's just so easy. You don't have to be all upset about stuff. 14 likes. All right, 77 Brigade, 1488. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us in the superhero comic book hour. We got a lot of based brothers and sisters in this community here, so good to have you guys. Um, Das ist gut, ja. Raymond says, I like more of the darker manga and anime like Berserk. See, now that I didn't even think about that stuff. That's probably the stuff that would appeal to me. My son occasionally shows me stuff that's like, Dad, check this out, like that kind of thing. And like, there's been a few that he's shown me that I'm like, what the fuck? Like they're crazy cool. And there's one with this kid that's got like a chainsaw face. This is ridiculous. But like there's just a lot of that kind of like teen boy angst in characters like that. It's sort of like I don't fit in and I'm forlorn and but so I must murder people, with my chainsaw face. It's just crazy shit. I think it's just like the over the topness of it that people like, you know. What's the one? JoJo's Magic Adventure or JoJo's Strange Adventure. Do you guys know that one? Um, because like when my son showed me that one, there's if you don't know it, you can't. It's like you'd have to know the anime and then you'd like get the joke because it would sound stupid if I try to make a joke about it and you don't get it. But it like the hairstyles and the characters like that, they're mostly white characters, but they have like these intensely intensely retarded like designs. Like they're what the hell made you think that this was cool? Like they're just weird as fuck. So like I guess like weird dumb shit is cool in Japan apparently. I guess that's the only thing I can figure out there. And again, I love the Japanese. I lived there. I studied their culture. I worked for a Japanese corporation for a while. This isn't it's not like an insult to them. Raymond says, I like more of the. Oh, yeah, I just read that. Okay. Wolf and Cub. Did you ever hear of Wolf and Cub? That's a very famous graphic novel series of like essentially a Ronin who has like an adopted orphan. I don't. It's not really a baby, but I don't know. It's probably, I don't know, 5 years old or something, I guess. And the artwork on that I like because it's more Western. Like it's clearly more Western. The guy who does that book, he renders the anime style the way a Western illustrator would render. So rendering is, when you're kind of like sketching in shading lines, and it gives it tone, it gives it form and texture, and it's aesthetically pleasing. It's Western art. It's They don't normally do that in manga. So I've never, like, I don't own it. I don't have a copy of it or whatever, but a friend of mine who's really into manga and stuff, he's shown me his. Anyway, one thing I found interesting living in Japan is that when you take the train, and that's a common way to get around, get to work, get to school. Um, at a lot of train stations, they have vending machines with comics in them, and their comic books are like the size of phone books. They're huge, and they they're black and white, and they have like teams and teams of people that work on these. You'll have like 12, a panel of, not panel, like a group of 12 people doing one story, and that's part of, I believe that's part of why Japanese comics all look the same. They have like a, it's essentially a corporate style, where in order to pump out these books on a sort of monthly basis, um, all of your artists have to know the same style, and that way I can, you know, page by page. If you've got like six guys working on one page or something, one guy does the backgrounds, one guy does the faces, one guy something. You know, I think you get the idea what I'm trying to say. Um, I believe I read the manga of Wolf and Cub at the library, and there you go. Woohoo! Excuse me. Hmm. So I guess the conversation dried up here. Should I talk about what should I talk about? How about did you guys? Yeah, I'll talk about when I went to Japan. So I mean, just since we're talking about Japan and manga and stuff. Um, so I missed my connecting flight between Seoul, Korea, and Osaka, Japan, which, like, this is the first time I'd ever taken a plane anywhere. Imagine that, you're how old? I was like 19. I'd never flown anywhere in my life, and the first place I go is Japan. Scared the shit out of me. I mean, Japan flying to Japan didn't scare me so much as like screwing up and being stuck in Korea. It was totally fine. Like there was nothing at all, that was going to hurt me or whatever. But like just being so far out of my zone and like not knowing what's going to happen and not having any kind of help or whatever, you could imagine how that would be a bit freaky, at that age and whatever. But so whatever, I get there and it's pretty wild. You're in another country. My God, everything is different. Everybody looks different. You can't read any of the signs. Um, and whatever it was like a taxi driver or somebody that picked me up and drove me long drive to get from the airport to the Kansai Gaidai University. And but you get there and then you've got staff that kind of collects you and you start to see like meet other young people, other students there. And it's wild because it's like, wow, this is amazing. You got people from England, Ireland, France, Latvia, um, where else? Like all over the United States. Like I'd never met so many different Americans, and Australia and et cetera. So it's this wild international experience, with all these different people, and you're all sharing the same excitement of like, holy shit, we're in Japan, like wow, we are the people that got accepted to this program in our respective communities, whatever our colleges from across the world. So you felt pretty special. It was just like a pretty amazing experience. Um, and yeah, I'll just check the chat for a quick look here. Um, Berserker is the goat, I dare say. Karen lost her head. I was just listening to a discussion on military robots, and they thought female robots would be a good idea. I wonder why. What years were you there, Donald? Early 2000s. So that's getting into the kind of the doxing area that I will refrain from talking about when I was there. Sorry. Sorry. I gotta keep some level of, secrecy, I suppose. Um, what else? So, you kind of do your orientation thing, and you're sleeping on tatami mats, and like, trying to figure out how to order food, and every single thing is amazing. Like every single, just the dumbest things in the world are just like, oh my god, look at that, a stop sign in Japanese. This silly stuff, but and you're really really connecting with all of these other sort of foreigners, because now you're a foreigner, because you're experiencing this thing together. So and then they ship you off to your homestay family. Oh no, you don't have to apologize for asking me that. That's not a problem. That's not worthy of it doesn't need an apology. Um, so I guess I can't tell like the whole story of an entire year, but maybe I should think about the highlights. Um, I did an art history special study where I did a research on a place called Sanju Gendo. And if a Japanese person were listening to this right now, they'd be like, "Oh, Sanju Gendo, sugoi da yo." It's like it's in a really, really amazing temple in Kyoto. I can't even. It's known as the Temple of a Thousand. Is it the Thousand Armed Bodhisattva? And the sculptures there are very, very, very beautiful and mystical. And there was a time in Japanese history when they used glass for the eyes of these sculptures, and it gives them a quality like they're alive. It's slightly spooky, but I had just a I don't know. I was like a sort of otherworldly, amazing experience at that temple, and I was just deeply moved. And I was like, I totally want to. Plus, it fit in with my Buddhist studies, so I could learn about bodhisattvas and this particular bodhisattva. How does the art function in terms of the spiritual technology of Buddhism? So it was just a really wicked experience. Wicked's not the word, but I think you know what I mean as a slang term. Um, I was still pretty at that age, though. Unfortunately, I was still. I wasn't like the cool guy. I was more nerdy, kind of. I mean, I'd been in bands and this and that or whatever, but like, uh, I just hadn't come into my own, sort of as like a young adult yet, and um so it wasn't like I don't know, it was for me. I wasn't there to like party or whatever. I wasn't like, there's a lot of people that kind of are into the adventure of it or whatever. I was still coping with my dad's death and stuff. It was just I was more sullen, in that time of my life. So it wasn't like the best period of my life. Um but regardless, I got what I came for. I had a very good experience, and I learned a lot about the things that mattered to me. And you know it was I always sort of thought of it as you know how like ancient cultures will have some kind of a coming of age ritual where you have to go on your own and do something to become a man, you know. And I thought, well, you know, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put myself through this thing, and that'll be my ritual of becoming a man, you know. Yeah. Did you use any bidets there? If I knew what a bidet is, I would. Is that some kind of toilet or something? I don't know. Hippocratic Oath says, "Did the temple have the two intimidating door guardians?" I know the one you're referring to. That's not the one, but I had been there a bunch of times, and I even stood there and like sketched one in my sketch pad. I could actually pull that out. I have it like not too far from where I am. But yeah, those are phenomenal. I mean, they're something like 50 feet tall, and they're extremely fierce looking. Um, I've forgotten a lot about, like, I used to know all the factoids. You know, I could be like, okay, that's this, and this is what it's called, and this is what it means, and blah, 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 blah. But it's been years since I've been there, so I don't remember all that stuff. But pretty awesome. Bidet is the ass spring toilet. No, that's a French thing, my man. That is not a Japanese thing. Their toilets are like holes in the ground that you squat down on. They're very uncomfortable and primitive. The Japanese are so different from us about like so many things. Like I don't. Some of that stuff's kind of awkward to talk about, but like I was never a fan of that. One of the kind of nice things, I guess, that was like part of the routine of the day was there's a thing called a ofuro, which is essentially like a hot tub that every home has. The ofuro and the bathtub are different. You don't The bathtub is for cleaning. You clean yourself in it, right? And then the ofuro is just a hot tub to do like a you sit in there for, I don't know, 15 minutes or whatever and then go to bed. And imagine doing a hot tub every single night before you go to bed. Like, how nice would that be? It just totally calms you down. Just your stress just melts away and you sleep like a baby. So, like, that would be a great thing for us to adopt, I think. Um, yes, charming. Let's see. Fear and desire, door guardians, if I remember correctly. Wow. Um, Didymus says, I went to a Tibetan monastery in northern India. Oh man, I would love to hear about that. I almost I almost went to Dharamsala to teach English to Tibetan refugees. That's another story. Northern India that had huge Buddha statues, really tall and skinny, very distinctive. Uh, I would love to hear more about that experience. That's extraordinary. Japanese sell electronic bidets. Okay, that's charming. Japan has bidets today. Okay, that's lovely. You guys got to get over the bidet topic here. My step grandfather was in the Korean War. He said that Japanese father would pop the cherry of daughter in a gentle manner so that it's not painful when she has her first time. See, this is kind of what I'm saying. Like the Japanese have some very weird ways of thinking about stuff. it's another culture, um, and that's all I gotta say. Hmm. I think that that's probably a part of, like, I don't know how to phrase this. So, like, there's a lot that you don't see, in like how do I say this? In like the tourist guide of Japan, like there's just certain things like prostitution is completely mainstream in Asian culture. It's just you same thing in Taiwan, it's just completely normal. And like not only that, if you're a businessman and you got a new client, it's traditional to take them out. Let's say you sign a deal, you're going to be working together. So then you take them out, you treat them to, uh, you know, tons of sake and sushi, and then you pay for their prostitutes. And that's just even if you're married, you have to do it. You have to do it. It would be it's just like it's just part of the business culture. And the wives of Japan know this. They accept it. They don't think of it. I mean, it's just a part of their world. Like they don't. I don't know what to tell you. It's just a weird part of their world. But I don't know. At the same time, like suicide rates very high. Loneliness is like a huge issue. Their birth rates are really low. Japan's got its problems. Um, I'm gonna read. Oh, we got a lot of comments here. Have you heard of the Japan's Suicide Force? That would be a creepy, cool comic book. I've seen photos of it. It's extremely disturbing. It's super, super disturbing. Being the guy that I am, or whatever, like, it's extremely tragic stuff. I don't know what to say about that, but like I think like the Japanese would consider that very, very distasteful if you made a comic book about that. Although I get your point. Like I see like what a great concept for like a horror story. Yeah, of course. Um Didymus says Western kind. No, tell me it ain't so. They have special spoons to clean earwax and turn it into family affair. I need one of them. I have one and I use it every day. But I can't live without it now. I'm like that. It's one of these silly little things you pick up, from living over there. Um, but yeah, they're awesome. Huh. Um, it is just a service that is performed on the husband just another day. Cheech Wizard, hey, double A is here. Cheech Wizard, that makes me think of the Beastie Boys. Let me say that. Yeah, they're very formal about it. It literally is a service. It's just this is for us. I think it seems kind of bizarre, but whatever. Um, what are you gonna do? So, what are you gonna do? Let's see. Lost Angels movie. Lost Angels. Cheech Wizard is from a movie called Lost Angels. Is that about Los Angeles? Probably. Probably. Like I've been to LA, but like it's it's so not me. Like it's like completely not. It's like be like probably the last place on earth that I would want to live. Same with like places like Miami. Like I have a friend who wants me to move uh down south to a certain area, and the city is wonderful. It's lovely. It's fine. But the whole thing of it is that it's like the way how he's sort of trying to sell it to me is like, look at all the great restaurants and bars. And I'm like, my life isn't going to be consuming shit all the time. Life isn't just like, look at all the great architecture and restaurants and bars, and how can we just spend money and enjoy all these things. Like it's this mentality of like I'm a like a sort of like a child at Disney World or something. Like everything's here to entertain me. I'm like, I don't know. That doesn't appeal to me at all. Like when I say architecture, I mean like that cheesy glass modern bullshit that people with no taste thinks is awesome. Not like real European architecture. Anyway, let's see. Oh, boy, a lot of reading going on tonight here. You remember the scene from Shrek where he makes a candle from his own earwax? I That's not my kind of movie, so I didn't. It's not my like. To me, Shrek is super irritating. Like that's not the kind of movie I would watch. So I apologize. Um, Raymond says, I like the old black and white Twilight Zone episodes. The storylines and acting is amazing. Me too. I'm a big fan of that, actually. I really, really like that. I actually like that old timey style of acting. Like it's really theater acting in a film studio. Like if you think about it, all, you know, acting evolved from the theater, right? Not for film. And so like they have a sense of like they kind of overact a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And but like on camera it's more intimate. It's kind of like right there on top of you. But like the black and white quality, of course it's the stories that are so amazing. But it's just so unique how there really wasn't anything like that. And I like the imagination in it, in a sense, like the whole, you know, world of wonders, what's really out there, all of that kind of is wonderful. It's good stuff. I've kind of gotten into old cowboy TV shows, actually, believe it or not. Um, Gunsmoke. Is it Gunsmoke? Yeah, Gunsmoke. I think it's the one that I really like. So, like the old of how was dating in Japan. Twilight Zone monster on airplane wing. Yes, very good. So I didn't really. I wasn't like. I had a girlfriend back in America at the time, and I wasn't really, you know, into the dating thing too much. I mean, I won't deny that I wasn't tempted, or I had gone out with girls, but I didn't see myself like moving to Japan and living there permanently or something, if you want to put it that way. Um, I mean, I don't know how true this is in general, but it appears very, very much so that like Japanese girls absolutely freaking love white guys. Now, that doesn't mean that it's any different in the sense that, like, you know, beautiful women are going to be attracted to more attractive men, and mediocre women are going to be attracted to mediocre men, and like that kind of scale or what have you, you know. It's only in places like the Philippines and Thailand where you have like super gross men with like super hot young women, and that kind of, that's like its own, that's more of a poverty issue. It's uncomfortable stuff to think about, you know. But I mean, the for us, I'll say that there's no denying that like the trad wife thing is extremely attractive. It's extremely, you know, and I'm not counter signaling our women or whatever. Um, but like I do have a friend who did go down that road. Like he actually lived in San Francisco for quite a while, and he's like, I can't fucking take it here anymore. Like I want to live in a place where, you know, there's like good solid traditional values. And you know, he moved to Japan, and he's got a wife and kids and living his life, you know. Um, Especially if you lived in fucking San Francisco, that would drive you out of your mind. It's nasty. Um, he was experiencing things like Mexican trannies on and in his neighborhood, just walking to work in the streets. And like one day he came home and there was like a somebody had been shot out in the building, like on the street in front of his apartment. And you know, he's like, I get the fuck out of here, you know. So that's San Francisco. That's like the Jews' dream. You know, I would love it if all of our cities were like that, and all of our people were like that. I gotta watch what I say on this channel. Jesus Christ. It's like that's kind of the benefit of being a small potatoes, is that nobody's really watching and not noticing. Okay. I could not bring myself to mixed breed because being as it is white erasure, if I had already had around 12 white children, then if some non-white wants to have a high IQ child, then perhaps I could assist. The trad caths were absolutely ring. Okay. So I think I will say in my, I don't know what to say. This is a pretty delicate area here, but um, it's tricky territory for me right there. But I'll leave it. The other thing too is that like I wasn't born into this movement. Like I became red pilled, I don't know, somewhere around the, what was it, like 2016-ish or something like that. And I think that's the case with most of us. I don't know really many people in the movement that were like J pilled or knew pretty much anything about like what's actually going on. And then, we learned, of course, over time. Um, so that's a thing. That's pretty fucked up. Anyway, let's see. I was introduced. Let's see. I was introduced to it 22 years ago from a friend of a friend. Wow, that's a long time. Western Kind says, "I will say the spicy statements so that others do not need to. It's okay." That is a great service that you provide for this show, and I thank you so much. Um, I guess what I'm kind of like, I have a fairly controversial view on race mixing with Asians that is definitely not popular among our people in our movement. Um, what matters is that we stop white genocide. What matters is that we save our people. And so obviously we know what needs to happen and not happen in order for that to occur, you know. Um there's in my view and my experience, there's something very unique and different about uh eh, Asians and whites, like that we're in our own kind of zone together. We're I think we, in a sense, make good allies in this cause. We have similar values. I'm not going to be pro. I'm not going to. I don't know how to phrase this. It's very very hard for me to phrase this, but I guess I would say that like I don't have as much of a problem with that than say going down the down the IQ ladder. I think that's not the direction you want to go. But like we're in different times now. We need to protect our future. That's what matters. Um, okay. All right, let's take a look. If only I have one. Hold on, let me read these. Um, I don't know what bleaching is. Bleaching, as explained to me on Gab back in 2017, is when you peacefully integrate non white populations with love and affection. Interesting. So there's a lot of biracial children today. And I think one of the big, like, un like the elephant in the room kind of situation is how we're not talking about stuff like that in the movement, and like what's to become of these kids, or who will be adults. Um if we are serious as a movement, we should have these things kind of worked out, and people want to know, if we're going to have a legitimate place at the table in like political discourse. We can't be some kind of like cartoon Nazi type people that they make us out to be. We should have an answer for these things. And I think that, in a lot of cases, the individuals themselves will decide where they want to go or what they want to do. But I'm very sympathetic to people who are mixed race in the sense that they didn't choose to be born like that. And I can say from my experience, very, very many who are half Asian and half white are really white. And I know that I've had this discussion with people in our sphere who have like really pushed back on me quite hard. And I don't budge on it. I won't budge on it because I feel like, you know, a splash of a splash. Okay, it's 50% of the DNA is Asian, but if anything of all other races, and especially if they're born and raised in America by white parents, like they're really effectively white. They really are. Um, and I think it's kind of maniacal to be so purist about this that like I mean, you could look at it from a eugenics point of view and say that, if they remarry and like to marry another white person and have white children, etc., then we're just mixing in high IQ genes into the gene pool, not the other way around. You see what I'm trying to say? So that's my thinking on that topic. And I know that it's unpopular. That's why I'm partly why I'm like reticent to talk about it, among other reasons. But that's where I am. So there you go. If I only have one wife, woman with whom I reproduce, then I will always select one with my own folk. If I had many women wanting my seed, then the ratio 80%. Um, Didymus says this involves mixed breeding with them. I'm joking, but yes, that's the idea. Hippocratic Oath, I like the two blades he is using. Yeah, the author again wanted him to have blades, and I'm like, well, I don't. His suit itself morphs. It's like a morphing metal, so he can have a gun morph out of his hand, but it's part of his hand. So I kind of came up with these blades because it's with my martial arts background, like having these little hooks on the end of the blade is really handy to manipulate the opponent's weapon, and it just it there's more you can do with these little hooks. Anyway, and it's simple but yet elegant, and it has a certain quality. I think it looks cool. Preservation of your people, they're relatively white adjacent for sure. I think the bare minimum is that all non-white people, Jews, whatever, have to be politically subordinate or leave. The rest, I think, should be up for debate. So, like, I would never ever question that like Native Americans belong here. They of course they do. That's not to me that's not even a question in my mind. But they're not trying to integrate or anything with us. Like it's not. Whereas like blacks can't survive on their own without whites, and they're now up to 60% of the deaths from gun violence, and there's I had this discussion last night with a friend of mine. He's a very hardcore Christian, and he's saying, oh, "But what about the nice ones?" And that kind of shit. And that's like an old discussion in our sphere. Is like, what about the good ones? And I'm like, I mean, I don't have to make this argument with you guys. You know how it goes. But what I said to him is like, okay, the good ones can be the leaders of the black ethno state. There you go. And, there's been people out there that have tried to set up black ethno states. I'm all for it. Um, I really don't, I mean, I know that it's complex, that it's got its own, that would, it's a big discussion or whatever. But I think in America, the right to freedom of association has got to kind of be maintained, and obviously under that right, whites have the right to disassociate. It's just disassociation is the same as association. Like I don't want to be around XYZ. I want a homogenous I want places that are homogenous and places that are multicultural. And if I want to go experience Chinatown, I'll go to Chinatown. If I want to check out, you know, Caribbean music and dance or something, then and food or whatever, then I'll go to the Little Caribbean or whatever. But whites have to have autonomy. And there you go. Like the Terminator, definitely let them make theirs so long as they don't interfere with ours. Yeah, it's an interesting topic actually. Like if you think through, like how would that actually work? They'd have to pay taxes and they'd have to do hold their own, and be able to literally be on their own and run their own neighborhoods and you know fix their own uh, you know sewer problems and street lights and internet and the whole have their own police force, uh everything. It's can they do that? uh that remains to be seen. It might be very primitive, but it's an interesting topic. Anyway, I really feel like I think I'm gonna end it off here. I'm just gonna take a quick look. Oops, shit! I keep dropping shit. Read the chat real fast. Want a Caribbean food? Yeah, we know how that's turned out, right? When they win wars against other tribes, they claim right to land, but when they lose, do they accept the outcome of their failure? Thanks. Oh, for the stream, Donald. Oh yeah, hey, it's awesome sauce. One thing I would add to that, though, for sure, is Islam and Judaism have no place in the West whatsoever. Like I would outlaw them. I would outlaw them. Because they are not religions; they're ideologies, and we are the prey and the target of those ideologies. It was a great stream, man. Have a good night. See you in the next one. I'm always lurking. Haha. Very good. All right, gang. Intense conversation tonight. Great to see you guys again. See you next time. 11:11.